we are learning in just the last few minutes that a federal judge is now refusing to grant Sean Diddy Combs bail. Instead,
oh my goodness,
he's going straight to jail tonight.
Straight to
Diddy
jail?
Not guilty to charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. I want to show you some of these brand new court sketches.
Oh, that's Diddy.
Like literally in the last 90 seconds. This is Combs in court after prosecutors arrested him at a hotel in Manhattan. It's where he's apparently been living for weeks, according to a person familiar with the move tells NBC News. All of it a tipping point now in that sprawling federal investigation into the superstar's alleged years of sex crimes dating back to 2009. As we're just getting in some new and deeply disturbing details about the allegations against him. You know, it looks like a massive criminal operation, allegedly. At least 50 victims and witnesses so far. And at the center of it, these hours and days-long sex acts, known as, in their words, freak-offs.
Those freak-offs was lasting that long.
Supposedly orchestrated to abuse his victims.
Oh my goodness.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
Wow.
And he often electronically recorded them.
Prosecutors say Combs punched and kicked his victims to try to keep them under control. He'd also, they say, filled them up with drugs like ketamine and ecstasy for long periods of time.
Oh, my
He used
goodness.
incriminating records to try to manipulate his victims.
Dang.
Prosecutors say they discovered this wide range of evidence against Combs in several raids. They found things, they say, like AR-15s, narcotics, more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Yeah, baby
We should
oil.
know here that an attorney for Combs says that he, I'm quoting here, will fight this with all of his energy. His team is already planning to appeal the bail ruling, meaning they will be back in court tomorrow, as Combs has, as we mentioned, pleaded not guilty.
Damn,
We've got
Diddy.
Laura Jarrett standing by with the legal analysis piece of it. But I want to start outside court with Julia Ainsley, because Julia, this went fairly late into the day. I know you've been at the courthouse as a judge, as we've just learned, is denying this request for bail. Explain why that is and what else we've learned today.
Yeah, that's right. We were in there for about 2 hours as the Justice Department from the Southern District of New York laid out their case, very similar to what you saw in the indictment, saying why he should not be released, because they say that he is a flight risk, he could leave the country, and also that he has a history of obstructing justice. They also pointed to how serious these crimes were, that with previous allegations of sex trafficking like R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein.
Why y'all keep on bringing up R. Kelly? This Diddy's case.
Laid out a very lengthy rebuttal to all of that.
Damn.
We heard them say that this is different from Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly because there are no minors being alleged in the indictment here. They also say that these acts were consensual, and they point to victim number 1, who's named over and over again, who they say is someone within a 10-year relationship with Combs that was toxic but consensual. They said that this person actually tried to sell this same story as book rights to Combs to try to get it out of the media's eye, but instead when he refused, then this civil lawsuit came up. But the judge ultimately said that he could not be released because he's a danger, he has a history of substance abuse and anger issues, and she really drilled down on the fact that after those civil allegations came out last November, he talked to multiple women who he knew during that period and who he apparently tried to change their narrative so they wouldn't go forward and continue testifying or being witnesses to some of these acts that were alleged in the civil complaint and then were again put in the indictment today.
Damn,
so she said in order to keep that from happening and really to end sex trafficking, since that can happen behind closed doors, it was best to keep him detained without bond.
Damn.
Julia, it is, I think for a lot of folks, they will find this stunning considering that Diddy, right, Sean Combs, has been previously one of the most successful music superstars in the world. Just a year ago, he was handed a key to New York City. Now here we are, after months of this being out in the public, these allegations being made public, his denials. He's potentially facing 15 years to life in prison. What does the timeline look like here?
Well, we understand that tomorrow they'll try to appeal the judge's decision. His defense will do that tomorrow at 3:30. They'll meet again next week for a conference, and then perhaps we'll be looking at a trial early next year. But Hallie, I have to say, what you said there was also striking. I watched him today, sitting there very humbly in court in a black T-shirt, nodding along with his defense, otherwise just looking very stoic, straight ahead at the judge. It's hard to imagine this is the same man, but the timeline is also staggering. It's one thing to think, oh, that was something that happened a long time ago, but the prosecution today said that these acts, what they're calling sex trafficking,